We are live.
Are we?
We are live. Yeah, we're on.
All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today, we're talking about experience, lack of, or expertise, whatever that looks like in your world. Do you need it? Is it necessary? Can you succeed without it? Or what does that look like? So, TJ's running late as usual. So we're going to get on here and start where he left off. Rookie mistakes. Which ones are inevitable? Which ones can be avoided? Why are they both so important to your development? I still make rookie mistakes every single day. I screw stuff up all the time. 25 years of working in this industry, and I still make rookie mistakes. Not as many, but definitely make rookie mistakes. Mike, you're 8 years in. How many rookie mistakes you still make?
Every day. I mean, I think this is the thing is, it's like, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. And I know that might sound a little bit like cookie cutterish, but like a couple different things. It's like, I always said is like, ask for forgiveness later, right? Like, or, like I want like, and that's like when you have kind of good leadership, they're there to pick you up, or like anything, right? Anything in life, like your parents, like you got to just trust that it's like, you gotta teach people from an early stage as a kid or in your professional career. You got to teach them, let them make mistakes. Because if I don't make any mistakes, it's a confidence thing too, right? Because like, if you never make mistakes, you never really are trying. And when you're never really trying, you don't have any really confidence in yourself, is what I say.
Absolutely.
So I think that there's a fine line though, right? There's mistakes, and then do you keep repeating those mistakes, right? Because then you can fall in that trap. So it's like, there's a few things where it's like, obviously you make mistakes every day, right? But I think that figuring out on how to capitalize on not making there's certain things you shouldn't be making mistakes on like anymore, right? In your career, right? Like just some key things. Like for instance, I should slap myself in the face if I wasn't direct with a customer. Like say for instance, I didn't send I'm really big on like transparency, right? And knowing if I knew that there was like a late pickup coming up, and even though I'm the sales rep, my customer service people will handle that, but that's on me, right? I learned that from an early on stage. So it's like, if something like that happened and I did that mistake now, which I have, that's a flag though. That's a flag for me. It's like, you're just completely oblivious. Those are things you shouldn't be making. But in regards to mistakes, shit.
What was your biggest mistake?
Being friends with TJ.
Same. No, seriously, what was your biggest career mistake in logistics? Or not, whatever.
No, I have a lot. I think for me, it was always, again, I people that watch, I think my sales different, but it was actually just meeting with the wrong level and trusting everybody liked me, right? Like that was like the biggest mistake, like not seeing flags for what they were in the beginning, right? It was, no, this guy, you knew, like if I knew he couldn't get the job done, right? He wasn't gonna, you just knew, right? I wasn't going with my gut instinct. I was emotional, right? I always said is like, I was handling things emotionally, and that doesn't mean like acting out emotionally. Mentally, like I was like, I know deep down, I knew, man, they're going to take my proposal back to their current provider. And then, but I would tell myself, no, they're not. They really like me. And what do you know? So that was like, I had a period for about like 6 months where I would meet with like the mid-level, and I was just kind of really heavy on price. Like during a cost analysis, yeah, I would hit on the other value adds, but wrong level, wasn't really providing, or explaining the value that we were going to bring to the table. And I was getting, they were just price shopping me. And it was a bad 6 months where, I set a lot of good meetings there was a lot of good opportunity that actually just ended up going back to their current vendor, and saying, hey, listen, can you match this? And of course they can.
Right. Hey, let TJ in. He's finally here.
Yeah. But besides that, I got one more. So besides that, I think another huge mistake was going at like not figuring, like qualifying, right? Like everybody's got their own target customer. They're good. That's for them, right? Specifically, whatever your sale is, it doesn't matter what sale you're in. You should knowing your target customer and knowing what a good lead is, right? Qualifying it a little bit beforehand, knowing that, okay, there's a couple things in here that I can provide. I know I can provide value, right? That's not to say that you got to convince them, right, that there's value in it, but tailoring that out, right? Because like that's huge from a sales standpoint, knowing your target customer, knowing what a good lead on paper is versus a real good opportunity, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that, again, if I was to say, hey, yeah, they spend their annual transportation spends in my wheelhouse. There's a lot of things that, there's a couple value adds we could add from like automating, right? But here's the kicker, I leave out, right? Well, they use another 3PL and they've been with them for 12 years and the CEO is friends with them, right? That's a great lead if you look at it on paper and you leave that little piece out. And those are things that, in my early on in my career, I would still have it. It's an ego thing, right? I didn't check my ego and I was like, oh, screw that. They want to work with me. So let me
tell you a story. My biggest mistake when I came in out of the truck and got in the office and started being in charge is I thought, man, now I got a title. I've been all underappreciated for all these years out here driving. Wheels are turning. I'm just cranking out these 14, 16, 18 totally compliant days. And I'm telling you what, I'm going to go in there. These guys that trained me, that worked with me, they're going to love and respect me because I'm a guy like I'm one of them. And now I'm on the other side of the desk and they're going to love me. Man, they hated me because I sucked. I was a terrible leader. I was given the crappiest loads out. These guys I hired to this day, like still don't like me because I was such an arrogant jerk.
And they're right. Sorry?
They were dead on right. I was terrible. Because I thought I knew everything about logistics. I had this boss and nobody liked him. We all hated him. He was a jerk. He got stuff done. He was a great guy. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of him like that, but it was so frustrating to work for him. And I went back like 3 different times and said, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I am so sorry I treated you like that. I'm so sorry I said these things to not you. And I know now the pressure you were under to do these other things and it just wasn't about making drivers happy because you were in charge. It wasn't about it's getting the job done. And you were just doing what you had to do to get the job done. Drivers always think that you're trying to give them the crappy load and the other guy got all the best loads. Well, you can give everybody the best load. And as soon as somebody else gets something, they think, oh, you gave that guy whatever. One guy's
people are creatures of habit.
Right. And one guy's great load is the other guy's punishment load. Yeah. And they will argue and fight that you have the time and effort to plan it out and plot against them, which, dude, I'm telling you, we don't do it. Nobody does it. Not on purpose anyways. Sometimes karma works out, but
I mean, it really does. I'm like,
sometimes karma works out.
Drivers do a lot of thinking. There's no way around it. They do a lot of thinking. They have a lot of time. And so that's something you got to understand once you learn that. I remember
they're on TikTok now.
What's that?
They're on TikTok now.
They're on everything.
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, their resumes. You don't know their real resume, Mike.
I would just say there's like people in general, right? You got to treat like to your point. Or I don't want to get. Yeah, let's just stay on rookie mistakes.
Yeah, but I mean, like I guess what I'm saying, like when I first started, I mean, I remember I started in dispatch. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand like why they didn't get it or why they would think that it would frustrate me, and I'd be like, "What are you talking about? Like what?" I don't have time to put that much effort into screwing you over. You know what I mean? Like, but they've been screwed over before and they're on the road and they're thinking about it and they're thinking and they're thinking and they're thinking and it's just part of it. So until you understand that, that's something you go through, on the carrier side for sure is learning how, and I've always, I talk a lot about, carrier side and what I do, but it's owner ops, owner ops and company drivers are 2 separate breeds. And so, trust me, I get owner ops that sign on with us that used to be a company driver. It's hilarious because it's like, all right, so you're sitting here, okay? If you take a load from here in Mechanicsburg, PA, you'll get $1 a mile to go back to Ohio, okay? But if you deadhead 100 miles to Pittsburgh, you can get $2 a mile to go back to Ohio. Now let me run the math for you on all miles. I don't deadhead. You can't deadhead. You paid for my deadhead? Okay, I don't think you're understanding. All miles, then you'll be like, it's like I'm running it out here. It's 100 miles empty, but you're now at $1.70 all miles instead of 97 cents. Like, hello.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you the other thing too. In the wintertime, owner ops, it's suddenly safe to drive. Company guys can't do it. Unsafe. Got to stay home. See you tomorrow. Hopefully they'll plow by then.
I got another one that popped up as a rookie mistake. And it's still an ongoing challenge for me, was delegating, right? In the beginning, I was, I preach about, I appreciate like everybody. I think sales, and it's easy for me to say it now, right? When I still got an ego, but I've checked it a lot. But it's like in the beginning where I was just like so worried. Like, so for instance, when we sold a deal, we would bring the account manager on that would be tied into the deal, right? And it was like, you're still the face of the account. And I just was like, well, this is no. I was like, CC me on every email. And then as I started, so then, as you build your book of business and all that, it was just like, I was setting those expectations up and I physically couldn't, I wasn't able to, I'm not a customer service person, right? It was like, my job was to sell, and that's why we had a dedicated, these account managers, they weren't like CSRs, they were account managers. They were like, if we were their job was to, manage the account. If we were missing stuff, doing like almost like I don't want to say secretary, but like they still had a really big role. And it was really hard for me to delegate. And when I went into leadership, it got pretty bad in the beginning, because so here's the worst part about leadership is like, I lack a lot of things, but I'm very like in the trenches with my team. Right. But it got to a point to where I was like, am I selling these things for them because I want them to win? Or is it like, subconsciously it's not? But then I thought about it. I said, no, or is it just my ego that wants to look good to the corporation that my team's killing it? And that was like, it was a really hard choice, but I had to say, listen, I got to let these people fail. Like, yeah, our numbers are not, I got to ask myself, are my office's numbers more important than my team's development? And when I asked myself that, I said, no, I truly, and that's, I don't know. It was an awakening, and I didn't think I'd ever really want to be in leadership, because I was like this. I thought in my head like George Clooney and Up in the Air. I just wasn't firing people, but like that, And then when I had that like come to Jesus moment, call it, I was just like, man, I do care. But it's still, to this day, it's very hard to. We talk about letting people fail. And I'll be the first one to say it. I think it's more or less like I just checking my ego and thinking that someone can't do it.
Yeah, that was it's funny you said that. That was mine. That was it. It was that I was a top producer. I did everything a certain way. I know it worked. And then when I brought everybody in, I wanted them to do it that way. And I wanted to, if they weren't, I wanted to know, and I wanted to see every email, and I wanted them to, respond at a certain time if they didn't. And it bogs you down. It just wore me down. I mean, like I just couldn't, I was trying to stay involved, and as the team,
and no one likes you.
As my team grew, it was like weird. It was like, but yeah, until I realized that like developing them and letting them like finding their strengths and giving them the ability to run with that and grow from that. I don't know, like it was like it was like a whole new awakening. It was like I'm going to give you trust until you lose it, rather than just not trust you at all. And so it was funny when you do that, though, how much people will run with it, and they'll actually do way better than what you think. I mean, I've taken some guys or some people just in general that I thought were just turds, and polished them up, man. And somehow, and it's because I gave them a little bit of freedom. But like, man, you're right, Mike. It was like I don't know if it was my ego. I wanted to look good. I wanted the numbers on my team to look the best, and I couldn't get out of the weeds. I couldn't get out of the trenches, and it just made me worse.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it's like I've had some pretty shitty managers, that just could, even to this day, horrible. I had some really good ones, but I thought to myself, again, that's where I came into. I was like, man, I promised myself I would never be that way to a person. And I think a lot of times in companies, I was in an office one year, and no joke, I watched 19 people come and go. I remember me being the last person in the office, and I was like nervous, right? I was like, this is not right. Like turnover, but this is like, so I thought to myself, I was like, that's a manager's issue, right? That's like, at some point you got to point the finger back at you and say, listen, maybe it's not them. That's like, they're not bad. I'm bad. So I thought to myself, like, that's another thing on the hiring side, right? We'd have like recruiters when we were interviewing, and I was like, I think more or less like being able to pick your team and having commitments prior. That's something that I learned. I was failing at because I was like, well, I'm going to go with the commitments that my company told me, right? But no, you're not. Every manager's different, right? You can't give commitments, right? It's like the cookie cutter, hey, this is me, because you're not that manager. You need to let people know, and that it's like you need to let people know how you manage people, because not every, you know how many people I think that probably that were great. I would tell them, and I was like, you guys are great. I don't think our styles would match. I'm kind of like, we just took over this new market. I'm in a new state. We're in this little rinky-dink place. You've been on 5 years. I don't think you want to work for me. I lack a lot of organizational skills. I can tell you that. And what I don't, or where I make up for it in, I think you're already good at, right? But it's like, it took a while to know that, because like, again, I feel bad, and I still to this day want to like reach out again and say sorry, but I brought some people on that it wasn't their fault. They were great. I just knew I was not the manager for them.
Let me tell you a story, man. Everybody and their brother who's failed in any kind of leadership position, I'll bet you can track 95% of those failures right back to ego.
Yep.
I'm guilty. You guys all said it. It was just you got too big for your britches. You thought you were bigger than you were, and what you realize is, man, at the end of the day, my job is to make the team successful. They'll make you look good. All you got to do is give them the power and the authority to do their job, do it well.
Your days are over. That's what you got to realize. That's the biggest thing is like, dude, the credit, you take all the blame and you get no credit. And hey, that's what a leader does. And at the end of the day, the feeling is when you're home alone or when you're by yourself, and and that rep gets that car he wanted, or she gets married, pays for her wedding, right? It's like, that's the feel goods, right? And that's at least in my head. And maybe you get called up on stage and stuff like that, or feel good. But like, I think that, like, again, to your point, Tony, it was in my head. It was like being a sales rep. Yeah, it's cool, getting all that recognition, thinking you're the shit. But realistically, that's nothing, right? The feeling. But when it comes into leadership, that feeling, forget, if you want just recognition, go somewhere. Don't become a leader, right? Because it's like, even here's the thing is the titles are dumb, right? There's plenty. You have to already almost like, and you're going to fail a bunch, right? But you almost have to be that person, right? I think about it when it even goes back into when you were a child, right? When your friends, do your friends come to you, right? Are you the guy that your friends come to that like, okay, we're going to go to Tony and he can help us here? Or are you always finding yourself, wanting to help people just because that's who you are, right? And I think it just stems from that. A lot of leaders, I think, are just put like, if you're putting on this flex, like I'm the shit. And there's two different things. People do that. People do that and they get lost for a little bit. Doesn't make them bad people, right? I would say good people make bad decisions sometimes, and they learn from that. Shitty people that do shitty things, continuing to do shitty things year after year, that's a shitty person, and that goes into leadership, right? If you have leaders that aren't growing teams and your turnover rate is high, it's not. You gotta look yourself in the mirror. Every leader does, right? That makes the calls for the organization that has to say, it's like, we're failing. We're failing. No, not we're. I'm failing because my leaders that are hiring all these people are clearly not doing their job right? So it's like, it's a ripple effect. That failure is a ripple effect. So I think that's a huge issue.
Yeah, I think the ability to let somebody flourish, I think that's the hardest part for some. I don't know. In my career, I found, I'd say a rookie mistake is, I hate saying this, but I trusted a lot of people. Business is cutthroat, man. And I trusted a lot of people, man, because I was just like an honest, straight up guy. Like when it came to competition, I wanted to go head to head and let's compare numbers and see who works harder and let's do it that way. But some people view competition totally different. I mean, they view it as like, wow, he's doing well. I don't think I can keep up with him. So instead of competing, I'm going to throw him under the bus. I'm going to go make him look bad. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that. I'm going to get people. I mean, it's crazy what you run into out there. It is unbelievable how many people throw people under the bus because they're doing well. Until you realize that, and you realize that can stem and that can grow down into your team too. It could be a thing. If you don't let people flourish, if you're intimidated by people that are good or whatever it is, I think it's a detriment to the company in general. Karma's a bitch, and those people always end up losing, and I've proved that. But I think it's it's important to have rules that I like to call more of a guideline, because at the end of the day, man, it's a business. It is not this isn't socialism. It's hey, let the guys that are going to kill it, and the ones that don't are going to weed themselves out. But you've got the same things laid out, the same resources. You got to be able to provide all of that. But I've just seen
I think you got to bet the rules.
I made at the beginning, I think, was I laid out maybe too many rules, and I see some people still do that. Like in leadership roles, there's so many rules you just constrict everybody down so that they're all equal, right? And you lose the best people because of that. They want to go, they want to win, they want to be the best. Let them do that. Give them the tools to do it. Give everybody the same tools, right? It's just let them go with it. And I think that's a key thing that I didn't do at first, and I've seen a lot of success after.
I say pick your battles, right? So he's probably watching now, but like still my friend. So my first hire I was running my own state. Like I was very close with our VP. We were franchised out, but our owner was our owner was the senior vice president of the entire company. So I was close to them, and so we bought another franchise, or this large franchise. So I moved out to Wisconsin, and I'm interviewing this person, and I'm not gonna say his name, but me and him are tight. He has so much talent. He was lazy in the beginning, but like he moved in with me. We're living together, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, Brett, this is not good. Like it was very hard at first, but like he ended up killing it. But like a big thing though, so he taught me a lot though, because it was more or less like this. Me and him would butt heads, right? And he was just like me, right? It was like shows up late, but get shit done, right? So I was like, yo, I said to show up I said, you got to be here by 8. And I was like, I don't care if you're getting a coffee. Don't tell me you're getting a coffee at 7:55. And I kept stressing myself out. Guess what? What? Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Tony's out. His internet. Oh,
I was trying to click unmute. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just saying, you're saying the thing. You're just alike. You guys butt heads because you're the same.
Yeah, exactly. So get this. So like, that's when I was like, okay, you got to learn to like control what you can control, but pick your battles, right? So I said, you know what? He would come in late. I didn't care. I said, whatever, right? I'm not going to stress about this. And what would happen is I just wouldn't talk to him. Like that was the thing. It was like, yeah, cool, whatever, dude. We already had a team. Then I'd be like, no, you can't come into this office, or you can go to your desk or whatever, but we're already in our meeting. If you wanted to be in our meeting, you would have showed up early, right? So it was like picking your battles, but like it ended up working out great. But like that was the biggest thing, is I was like so mad, but it was like taking a step back, and it's like, okay, listen, you either got 2 choices. You can keep doing this, or 3, fire him. But why would you fire him? He's doing great. He just, he's going to have to eventually, that's just one flaw on him. To our point, Tony, what we were talking about earlier, when you get married or you're with a significant other, everyone, we all got flaws. How you got to realize, can I deal with it? And if I can, I can't keep bringing it up that this is pissing me off, because I know this is them.
It is the way it is. You just have to accept that and move on, or you don't.
Do the pros outweigh the cons? And they did with my man. I'm like thinking about it. That dude stressed me out so fucking much.
I look back at all of my rookie mistakes, and
my first hire.
Ego. It's all ego. I sucked as a leader. Those guys. I mean, I like to think that I've grown, but you know what? My ego still gets in the way. I want to have likes and comments, but
it will always.
I want to lay low. Don't talk to me. Don't interact with me. I don't want you to comment. Right, but we all want that team member, that guy that works for you or whatever, to respect your authority because of your position or your title or your
authority,
whatever. My authority, Cartman.
I want to be respected. I'm not even respected. I want to be the guy that says, and that's where I realized, like with anybody, it was like, dude, I don't want to have to force someone that. I want someone to call me up and say, hey, dude, I want to run something by you. I trust you, right? And that was like, I think I failed a lot, but what was good was I was always mentoring people without even knowing it, right? Because I love sales so much, where I was just like, here, do this. And like the last year before I went into leadership, I would go run meetings, but that was kind of where it was like, that was the cool thing. But to your point, it's like, I think early on, yeah, you definitely get an ego. Like I'm the big man on campus now. I was like, I was like, let me get the reserve parking for our office. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you want all that, but you know how you get it. You don't get it from the title and the position or the people. You get it because you helped people become better than they were. You helped them succeed, and then suddenly they'll love you.
Nobody comes to you and says, "Hey, Mike, I want to run something by you." If every idea they come up with, you snuff out anyways.
100%.
The biggest thing is giving those people that freedom, give them the freedom to come up with ideas and come up with things. That's when they start calling you and say, Mike, I want to run this by you. I mean, they know you don't have to prove it to anybody anymore. Like what Mike said earlier.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore. Like there's a reason you're in the role you're in. That was one mistake I made, at the beginning of my leadership. I got kind of thrust into it, but I just as a top performer, but I still wanted to be part of the crew, part of the gang. And it's just, for them to truly respect and understand it wasn't a hey, I'm gonna be, they used to always say like TJ makes up for being an asshole by buying us pizzas on Friday, and that's what it was, like I bought all the group pizza, because I was an asshole to them all week, and it was hard. It was hard. It was a hey, listen, I know that I can go out and do what I need to do I control my income, right? If I want to make more money, I'll go land another account. I'll book more freight. I'll do this. I'll do that. And then go into a leadership role, especially in logistics and just how it works commission-wise, it's like my income net is now dependent on these people. Oh, not nice. I mean, it's on these people, not on me. That's hard. That's a hard thing to let go of. And it frustrates you, and especially if like maybe you're working with another leader who may get paid off the same. It just depends. Like there's a lot of factors that go into like understanding that transition and that change of like, I don't control my income anymore. These people do. But then you pull back and you say, actually, I do control it. Right, because the amount of
that's an ego thing.
For them is what really predicts my income. Right, it's a whole different mindset. It's hard to do it because logistics doesn't stop, man. Like it's quick, and so like I don't know. People talk about like lack of training and stuff, but it's very true. Even when you get like leadership thrust into roles real quick, like you kind of learn on the fly and you learn from your mistakes. But that's one thing I would say is like be willing to transition your mindset.
Let me switch it. So yeah, Paul says, walking, people can read this, but this is so true. I remember like it was almost, I'll say this. It was almost like, it wasn't a cancer, but so my last profit, you can already tell, like at that point I was with a horrible manager, right? I was on 3 years. I was already getting positioned to move into leadership, and we had a very brand new team, right? So me and my manager were never getting along. I was always helping these new reps, and you can almost see that it was like a changing point in this office, right? It was like people started coming to me, and I didn't even realize this, right? Because I was like too oblivious. It was just like it was like people were like making a switch. Like it was almost like you exposed just being a good human, right? And leading without even knowing you're leading. It was like it exposed bad leaders and even new reps that like shouldn't, you would think that would be nervous to pretty much go against a manager and go to this rep, right? We're starting to do that. And like we all sat down and like I ended up not coming in the office for the last 2 months before I moved to Wisconsin. But like it was crazy now that I think about it to like see how people just automatically like eventually know who they should follow, right? Or who they want to follow. And I didn't even know it at the time.
They want to follow who they feel is going to give them the most success. They cling to people like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how it is. But how do you what would make somebody want to follow you or cling to? Is it because of how smart you are, how good you are, how great you are? No, it's because they want to be able to trust you. And
whatever they want.
A solid foundation. That's one of the other thing is like, dude, I used to fly around. I was known for slinging freight, man. That's what I did. I'm still good at it. But like when I went to leadership, it didn't transfer. Like that doesn't mean that people trust you. They made the opposite. Like I've got some great owners, man, and I've been able to work with them, and like what they've taught, as mentorship is basically like be that solid foundation, be that rock that like you could sling freight all night and book freight all night and then come in at 9:30 but stay late or whatever. But like that's not what people want, man. They want somebody that's there, early and is there and listens and is not flying around and it seems under control, has their life under control even. You know what I mean? Like it's like even if you're faking it, Tony, I know how you work. Costco's busy at night. But what I'm saying is is that's a whole other mindset too. Is just transition of what people actually want to cling to.
But not even like transition to. If that's not you, then it's not you. But here's what I will say is like you look at people and people just what I appreciated and where I lean to is people that have their shit together, and that can mean a bunch of things. But people that make you feel safe, right? It wasn't. Yes, it's good. Like I'll put this out. Sean Layton, I always call him out, and he was my first manager. He was the reason why I am here today is because of him. And he always said, he'll say I'm better than him, and maybe I am on some things, but like I still even in the beginning of my career, it was Sean. Sean went to bat with me. I was engaged. I remember this. Here's a story of like a good leader. I was engaged. I ended that didn't end well. I was everybody was high on me, and I ended up having that situation. And I ended up not selling anything for like 5 months at that point, and I should have been fired. I just wasn't. It wasn't my work ethic. I was just so lost, and he kept going to bat for me. I didn't know this till like after like 3 years later, where this person said, "Hey, listen, he is great. He is just going through some emotional stuff. He's working his ass off. I will put my job on the line." And then that's when he kind of like came down on me a little bit, but didn't tell me that like he put his job on the line. But it was like knowing that, like little things like that, I knew I could tell him anything. Like put work aside, right? I knew that if I called him up and said, "Hey, I'm in jail, dude. I'm not like," he would figure out how to save. He would figure out how to not get that involved with my career and protect me. And that's someone you want to follow, right? But he also does the work, right? He did the work. He was talented, but then put that aside. He was just a person that you could go to and you felt safe. Any type of relationship, any type of like, if you're trying to get a girlfriend, like boyfriend, you want to feel like that person has some control over their life and can bring something and trust you.
I don't have any control over my life. What are you talking about?
I mean, I don't know, but
your wife does.
Like, then maybe you need that. Like, that was the thing is, it was like, but I think everybody can agree. We all just want to feel like it's a lot easier if we can feel safe, right? If you're a manager, like starting out, your job is to develop your reps, yes, but your job is to make that person feel safe so they're not getting hounded. You don't need, like, you see some managers that go strictly right to their director, right? And they're like, they talk all day about their new hires and all these bad things. That's not the way to go about things. It's like, you should be a family. And that's the way I looked at it, right? It was like, this is my family. And if they're failing, I'm going to take the heat and just own it and figure it out, because I'm not going to get fired off the bat, right? That's not happening. So it was like, I need to fucking protect them, and then I can figure it out. But it was all about trust, and trusting meaning you got to build that. And I know it's very broad, right? Trust, but I think it starts with that, knowing that, hey, you know what? Sean Layton, I said, if Sean Layton had my back, I'd do anything for him. That's when I told him this. I will go to hell and back for this guy. You tell me to run through the wall, I'll run through the wall for you, because guess what? I trust you. I know if you tell me to run through the wall, there's something on the other side. And I wasn't even a yes man. I just trusted him.
Yep.
So how do you gain experience in the logistics industry? Do we need it?
Yes.
How do you get it?
You go out. You just start getting blasted. Take chances.
No, here's the thing is you have to. So we get it. You know, I start out, right, and Sean Layton was my field ride. He was actually not even a manager when I got hired on. I got one manager like for a quick month. But let me tell you, Sean Layton, I looked at him, and he was a rep at the time. I was like a week, 2 weeks on, and I remember this guy was like so good on the phones, right? He'd come in like he was at that point where he was transitioning into a manager. It's almost like we grew together, but like he was a hot shot. He'd come in a suit. He'd rip a couple dials, set some meetings, and then just like take off.
Dials.
I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. But it was like, you know, it was so that like he was just, and yes, he is good. He was good, but he just did it, right? And then when he transitioned into being a manager, a first-time manager, he never forgot what got him there. And that was like something, I got it tattooed on me, but it was like, that was something that really stood out to me, where it was like, you know what? That's the person you want to follow. Yeah, he's talented, but it was more or less like he's showing us. He's in the trenches. Because guess what? He's not a director. He's not some big shot. He just got out of being a senior sales rep, right? He's showing me and he's doing the work, and we're failing together too, right? We're laughing because cold calling's weird. People are, kicking us out, no soliciting. But guess what? Guess who's right beside me? Guess who's doing it with me? Guess who's doing it first with me? He is. And
So,
it's like, that.
What I'm hearing is experience comes from failing a lot, right? You got to try and fail, and then you learn from it, and then you try, and then you fail some more, and then you learn from that, and then maybe you don't fail that way again, or maybe you do and you learn again, but you just got to keep learning and failing forward, right?
I think it's,
instead of just failing.
I don't want to say strategic failing because it's not like you're doing it on purpose, but like
fail
you
forward.
have to be strategic when you do fail, because like don't be afraid to fail, but like every time you do, sit down. What makes you better is let it sting and sit down and think, how do I avoid that sting again? What can I do to be proactive? How do I get better? Like, wow, okay, that's what a lot of times what I teach people is just like, I try not to do it for them. Sometimes you have to, just because it could be too bad. But like, like, hey, make sure, look at this now. Like, if this isn't done now, I'm telling you right now, you're going to wake up Saturday morning. All right, I've already been through it, and the guy's late, he's not there because this wasn't. But little things like that like get you out ahead of problems. Yeah, I think it's what makes you better. But that's what gives you the confidence. Like right now, like they try to play an April Fool's joke on me today. Like one of my guys comes over and dispatcher, he goes, "Hey, dude, Randy's called. He broke down on that Ford load, man. Like critical. Like," and I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "Well, I mean, like, that's fine."
Hey, did I hear Ford load? Did I hear Ford load?
Yeah, try to get something direct to them. Yeah,
I'm good.
I go, yeah, okay, all right. He's like, he just wanted me to play April Fool's. I'm like, that's what I do. I solve problems. Like, I already knew what I was going to do. Like, you can't play April Fool's on me for that. But you get that because I've been through every freaking situation where I literally thought, I remember back in the day where there was days where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I'd go out, I'd sit outside and like, I don't know how to figure this out, man. And then like, but I always noticed on my drive home, every time on my drive home, I thought I always end up figuring it out. Whether it's, a resource that I have there or whatever it is, it always ends up working out because I don't stop. I don't just give up. I don't go in a shell. And once you realize that, that's how you gain that confidence too, of like, throw a situation.
You have to lose your ego to get through that, right?
All right, let's, what's that? A good manager trains, educates.
Yes.
A good manager trains, educates his or her team, so the failures are kept at a minimum. Yeah, I agree, Paul.
I think there's vetting there too. I think you vet situations. That's why I was in the handle.
Training is like a huge big. I mean, I always preach this. So I think in our industry, there's such a lack of there is such a lack of training, and I thank God. I said it every day. Worldwide Express, shout out to y'all. Shout out Sean Layton. I haven't worked with him for years, but I am here today because of that. I am like the fact of the matter is I would have done, and that's no joke. I would have done the job for free. If they said, hey, if they paid for a rent and gave me some PB&Js for the first year, they literally, if you made it in Worldwide Express, the way they trained, they put so much money into their sales development that I've been in 2 other companies. Nobody can even touch light a candle, whatever it is, to what they trained. Like I was just shocked on how there was such a lack of sales development when it came into not even true.
So there's the business. So start it. Take everything you learned at Worldwide. Here's
the thing is, I'll give out those ideas. I don't need to charge that, right? I say play it forward. I don't need to do that, right? There's a million sales gurus, and I don't want to be that one of them. I'll just give. If someone wants to call me, they know they can. But to the point is, so it's like, yeah, that's so spot on. Paul, I mean, that's a huge thing. Like that is a huge thing. Like, how many people that are probably decent at sales or, could have been great that just got turned away. I've seen it happen. And it's like, no, you just have to train that person. And it's just, anyway, so let's talk about some funny failures. Failure, don't drink too much at company events. That's, I mean, because that's a huge thing when you're new. It's like, I've messed up a couple times being young, and it's like, not like horrible, but it's like, when you feel comfortable, you got a couple in you and everybody's boozing. Well, it's like, I honestly started realizing the leaders aren't boozing. So I never boozed at these company events like later on, because it was like, whether it's politics or, you think, regardless of if I think, huge corporations are just shady in general, but they're always watching, right? And they might not tell you that, but a year from now, it's like, it's a way of like, hey, remember that time at Christmas party you got bombed and told me that story. I was like, no, so it's like that was
I was hammered.
And drama, stay away from it. Like that's another mistake I made at times where it's like even just being around people that were like yapping around, it's like words get, it's a hard thing because you want it to be a family, right? But at the end of the day, not everybody thinks like that, right? So it's like you have to be smart when it comes into in your corporation, what you say, what you do, and that's why I do my own thing. But at the end of the day, that was a couple. Those were some pretty big mistakes. Actually, I'll give the story. I was a week on. My franchise owner came out. Mind you, he's the senior vice president of sales at our corporate office too. And we were like probably like $500 million company at that point. And another corporate guy came out. I may be on 2 weeks. It's me and this new rep. We just got hired on. We go to the opening day, or not opening day, but it was like a ball game, Tigers, right? I get blacked out. End up, I never told him this. I told him I went to the hospital, but like they knew. But I get blacked out. I woke up. It was 11 o'clock a.m. We had work the next day. And I remember just showing up to the office and I've done nothing. I was just like, oh my God, I'm freaking fired. We had this Excel training workshop too. Everybody was like, and we always wore suits and dressed up. And like, I remember walking in there and I'm like, oh my God, I just felt so horrible. And like, no one talked to me. They just like kind of looked at me like, well, there goes the new guy. So yeah, don't drink. Just don't drink. It doesn't. I don't even drink it. So
I'd say drink if you know how to control it. I mean, it's a little bit different.
I mean, no shit, TJ. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, literally, I was a kid, started, whatever. We're talking about mistakes as he chugs the Coors.
Mistake. Here we go. 3 years ago, when I first became a director, we had a big meeting with the whole company, the VPs and directors and the owners. So there was 10 of us total, probably. We
hey, TJ.
Small town guy, man. Just blue collar, not used to this, executive type role is like kind of weird. And so we went to this like training thing. Then we went to dinner at Ruth's Chris, and I asked for A1 sauce. So I will tell you, don't do that at Ruth's Chris. However, I didn't care. I drank beer when everybody else is drinking like this, like fancy, expensive wine. And then we split the tomahawk steak. I've got a black lab, and I asked for the bone in a bag to go because it was real big. So the waiter's like, "You want the bone, sir?" Like, yeah, just throw it in a bag, not a big deal. You want it in a bag? Yeah, I got a dog, man. Don't you get it? Like, I got a dog. I need the bone. Like it was like, hello. It's like my owner looked at it. He's like, guy asked for A1 sauce and takes a bone home from. Hey, those are that's how I learned. Hey, there's a different type of dining out there. So,
did you ask if you could lick the plate too, or?
I'm like, well, I got Ponderosa has A1 sauce. Come on, man.
Ponderosa.
You've been to Auburn, Indiana, Tony.
Still living in the 80s, baby. Ponderosa. Whew.
That was the jam.
Paul, can you elaborate?
Don't do that.
Hold up. Many people go to work to feel safe. They don't.
But yeah, I think what I was touching on, what I think Mike was touching on too, is just be aware of especially if you want to develop and grow, like be aware that there are always people watching. People get it. Now there's times like that where I was just being myself. I think they liked that like type of, I mean, I wouldn't embarrass or anything. I could give two shits, honestly, but we laugh about it. But it just goes to show, I mean, like you gotta, it's as you develop and grow, like the conversations you'll have, are a little bit different, like you don't realize that, like once you start having it with other managers and stuff, or your leadership or ownership, you're like, oh God, I didn't realize they knew that much about everybody in here or what everybody was doing. I mean, like, just be aware that like they're always
be aware. Sorry, my bad, dude.
No, you're good. Good.
I just be aware too. I mean, well, let's just stay back on mistakes. Does anyone, I mean, come on. I know you want me to give more mistakes? I mean, I told you I make mistakes every day. Today I overslept 9 o'clock, but I work for myself, so I do it
every day.
No, dude. I mean, I got a funny picture. My girl took a photo of me. I've been doing this cost analysis. I'm not even joking. I want to post the photo of me and say, this is why you need to automate certain things. I love doing data, and I'm not, there's these fiber bars all over my chest, and I'm just passed out on the couch. She's like, what is wrong with you? I was like,
all the poop bars? Those are, dude, those are.
I was like, thank God. I was like, babe. So like they use, no joke, this company uses like 20 different vendors. 5 of them are 3PLs and the rest are carriers direct. I'm like, oh, you guys got logins? They gave me all these invoices. I was like, can I just get logins? They're like, we don't even do that. I was like, all right, well, you're gonna have to give, like, because again, in order to, someone's got to do it. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is it's like, in order to actually build out these reports and cool things, someone still has to do it. That's what people don't realize. It's like the data still needs to be scrubbed in the beginning. And yeah, so I just been so drained the past like 3 days. It's like, no joke. It's probably to get a good sample set, it's like 90 days. I think I'm doing 6 months. It's like literally 5,000 load or shipments, invoices. Then there's discrepancies. Please catch it soon, because I feel so bad that's why no one does it. I feel so bad. So there's a mistake. I woke up late, didn't miss anything, but besides, I mean, the mistake is I'm probably just took a year off my life.
Yeah. Tony, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made besides not knowing me sooner?
Mine's always been I felt like I was important, and I realized that I was not a servant. I'm trying to help them, and it was always about me and my ego instead of helping people be their best. We have a director of leadership development, and I meet with him weekly, and he was telling me today, and I said, dude, I'm a terrible leader, but I'm pretty good at supporting people in their leadership and helping them. He goes, do you realize you just contradicted yourself? Don't say you're a terrible leader, because what a good leader does is go in there and they supported the people that are leaders. And that's what good leadership is supporting the people that are leading. He goes, you got to change your terminology. Stop calling yourself a terrible leader when what you're doing is leading well. And I realized that when I think I'm being a leader, I'm all, going around being all like assertive and stuff. And really, when I'm being the best leader is when I'm supporting the guys that need the help, and I'm giving them the help they need, and I'm making them better. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in my brain, I separate that. And like, so today I screwed up big time. I got a guy that's like frustrated with me because I don't give him the direction and the support that he needs in a way that makes him feel valued. And I got to change my approach so that I can be a good leader to this dude, because he's outstanding at his job. We just have to recalibrate what is that expectation that makes him outstanding. And it's on me. I'm failing him.
Tony,
hey man,
bro, that just got deep, dude. I feel
I
like
screw up all the time, bro.
We're doing like an intervention. I was like, I heard it in my ear. I was like, whoa.
I have a therapist. It's all good.
Me too. Hey, dude. So do I. I call them life coaches, man. Hey, that's a big thing, though. That's a topic.
So my biggest screw up. My biggest screw up that's not directly related to that is my communication style.
Hey, Paul's coming in with these questions. Who is Paul? Paul, dude.
Paul got going on.
Paul's just the only one. Paul might be the only viewer, but he's got
Keep him coming, Paul.
Woo! Paul, nice to meet you, dude.
I think
watch you be like.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'd say mine is my biggest actual failure is shit. I can't think of like a huge failure. I mean, I remember grinding in and getting set up to be one of the youngest or one of the first people to land like an account of a certain size.
How was that a failure?
Can I finish the story?
Sure.
So I was going to be one of the youngest or first to land an account of a certain size, and I don't know. I just got I went out and partied that night because I got the meeting set up. I mean, we were going to drive. I was going to actually fly there to meet with them, and I went out and partied that night and everything because I was so excited, and I was, everybody's, oh, great job, and I went down there and I was totally unprepared, man. I totally bombed it. I looked like an idiot, and not because I was hungover from the night before. It was like the next week that I flew down, but like I was unprepared. I didn't even do. I hardly did any research. I mean, I hardly did any research. I mean, I didn't have it was, I walked out of there feeling like a piece of shit. I mean, it was bad. Like they asked the right questions. I think they knew as soon as and ever since then I was like determined to get my shit together when it comes to that. Like now, like sales meetings are my jam, but like that was an instance of, I know what the hell I'm doing or what I'm talking about. I'm good enough to get this meeting. I'm going to be all right. And then I got in there in a room with people that had been in it for years and knew what the hell they were doing. And they just ran circles around me. It was not good or not fun. But it just gave me like an idea of like worst case scenario, I guess you'd say. So like now, as I'm even chasing down leads or whatever it is, like just have an idea of like what to research, when to research it, what to have. Just gave me all these different types of avenues and tricks and tips to do. Like I learned a lot from it, but it was very humbling. That flight home was very humbling, especially on the company's dime.
Yeah. So that's funny you said that, because it was like, I was like, those are big mistakes, right? Even when, regardless of like, if you went out partied or whatever, it was more or less like I would go, I learned the hard way, right? Not being prepared. But like what it did teach me was, do the hard thing. Good meetings will always be able to reschedule, right? The bad ones, they didn't really want to meet with you anyways. So every time now, if I know I'm not prepared and maybe I set a meeting and I already know I'm not going to be able to get like prepared in time, maybe things again, it's on me, right? Maybe I scheduled things too close together, but it was like having that conversation beforehand, like saying, hey, can we push this a week out, and that's way better than actually going and just half-assing it. So it's like I learned a lot of times where I was like, whether I was like not prepared at all or somewhat prepared, it was always an ego thing. Again, I'm the best, but no, you're not. You're literally coming in there with half-ass presentations or whatever, and it would have just been best do the hard thing, right? Do the hard thing is, hey, reschedule, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was partly that, and just partly like it was just cockiness. I just remember feeling like just cocky, but like in the back of my mind, I still remember feeling like I'd never been in a meeting like that before. So like I didn't know.
I wish I could tell everyone else.
In the back of your mind, you're still kind of thinking like I don't know, you're not scared, but you're kind of like a little bit off. But then you're like, it's almost like a false bravado that you put out there then, so that like you can like convince yourself that you're. It was weird, man. I don't know, but it was a big learning experience for me.
I'm going to shout someone else's failures out. I'm not going to say their names, but I was 26 years old, set a meeting with Bosch Automotive. They wanted to, guess what? Everybody always uses these people. You want to talk about freaked out? I go into so I knew this girl from college, and she got me into there was 7 directors, 2 VPs, and me. Everybody bailed on me. Everyone's like, oh, Mike, Mike's always looking for this pipe dream. Well, I show up to Bosch Automotive and just shaking. It looked like a college campus. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So failure on them. And then they all wanted to get in when your boy, I don't know how I did it. So it was funny is because we had this enterprise rep. I just sold this large deal with her. She flew out. She just got hired on. So me and her were close, but she lived in Texas, right? So she calls me and she's like, you ready for the meeting? You're going to do great. I said, so I go, yeah. I go, here's the thing is though, no one came with me. I'm by myself. She slips up and she goes, are you fucking kidding me? And I go, wait, you don't think I could do it? And she's like, oh, no. You could do this. You got this. When you get in there, put me on the speaker dial. So I'm sitting in this room by myself, just like, oh my God, it was really intense. And right when we get into technology, they had her on speaker, right? It cuts out. Everybody looks right at me, and I'm just like, oh fuck, oh, come on, man. And I was like, well, let's talk about inbound. I know you guys were talking about I just switched the whole thing. But moral of the story is failure on those 2 managers for not having my back. Shout out Lindsay McGuire, you're the shit, because you had my back even when you were nervous.
Yeah, I think
that was crazy.
Yeah, I think.
It was also a good thing too, though, right? It taught me, gave you. It was almost like it was like a learning experience for me, because it was more or less like I went in there and it ended up not failing, right? And it was just like those are the things too that you talk about taking chances, just going in. and doing what you got to do. And if you fail, you learn a ton.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And like, we talked earlier, I think it's so important just to really be able to vet. I think, as a leader, vet the situations, like kind of in the back. Like I always talked about what I did with the handle it thing, how I told people to handle it. Cause I knew like in the back of my mind, like which situations that like, if they did fail, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. And which ones, like if they did, it was going to be something that's not good. And I think that's a key thing. What the hell's that? But I mean, it's just finding the right balance there and let people fail a little bit enough that they can, like you learn and grow from it. But I think we all, I talked the other day, I met with Pete Kemp, a couple other guys, and it was like, we mostly talked about like, when they asked like what our journey was to get to where we were, we mostly kind of brought up like how we failed and stumbled through and now to where we're at. So
that's what it takes to grow though.
Right.
You don't really learn unless you screw up.
Who are you texting?
You?
Oh.
No, yeah, me and him are texting each other about you.
Huh?
Look at the time. Look at the time. Paul, man, we gotta get Paul. We gotta get Paul on the show.
Yeah, Paul. What's Paul doing next week?
Can you guys see the comments? Paul, you want to come on? He looks sharp. He's asking all the right questions. Wait, I negotiated our transportation programs with our LTL and parcel carriers. My man, dude, you're speaking my language, Paul. You hear that? LTL and parcel. There's other people out there like me. You'd be impressed, Tony. Your boy did $100,000 this month in truckload. Nice. Saying I don't do truckload. I know, right? I was like, all right. Hanging out with a couple brokers and a shipper. Your boy out here just doing it.
Man, you must have got some good connections.
Dude, I was gonna shout you. I'll shout you out. I'll do it. You are the top carrier for two of my accounts. I'm doing reports like, oh, would you look at that? We got to get you a picture in there because it just says Circle Logistics.
Handle it, baby. Hashtag handle it.
We know whose face we got to put on that.
Dan the man. I
was literally like laughing. I was like, wait, get out of here.
Ask Dan about the April Fools I did today. There's this guy on our team, John. He's great, super talented, cares a lot. And he goes, I said, hey, John.
Is he the guy that gave me that? Is he the one who gave me that horrible lead? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It might have been, yeah. But he was like, hey, we got that call at 3:30. Me and him, he works remote. So I said, damn it, I forgot about that. He goes, we could push it, or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I guess whatever. If that's what you want to do, I thought you'd be prepared, but okay. And he's like, no, I mean I just think everything's going well on it or whatever. We could just do it Monday morning if that's fine. I'm like, I'm a little disappointed, John. I thought you'd come through on this. I was kind of dead set on this meeting, so but whatever. Hey, Caitlin, did you get? So then he's all worried, right? Because he's one of those guys that like he's on top of his game, and I got another guy on the team sitting over there going, "Oh, just do this." I'll G chat him right now. So he G chat him, was like, "Dude, TJ just got up and left. He's pissed." And so like John's G chat me. He's like, "I took notes and everything for the meeting. I'm prepared. I promise. Like we could do it." And he sends me an invite for Monday morning. I hit decline, and then I knew who he was going to call and get a hold of. So I got them all aboard, and they're all like, "Yeah, I don't know where he's at. I think he's in Derek's office, who's our VP." And so he texts, like, gets a hold of Derek or texts him, and Derek's like, "Yeah, I don't know. He's not in a good mood, man. He's upset with it. I think it's you. I'm not sure." And oh my God, he was pacing. I had like 6 missed calls from him, and then finally had to give him a call. And he called me out last night and said I wasn't very good at April Fool stuff, so I had to get him. But that was a good one. So
hey, was he a millennial?
What's up?
One last question from our boy Paul. I think he meant to say TJ.
Scott.
Me, if you're asking about my store that I was failing it, yeah, kind of. I don't know. What's the definition of a millennial?
No. He was just talking about the story that TJ just said about.
No, I think he was talking about Tony is the guy you were failing. Like the failing. He was failing somebody at work. Remember, got deep and emotional?
Yeah.
Oh. My bad, Paul. I don't listen. I'm a millennial, and I clearly don't listen or can't read.
Yes, probably. I probably didn't connect with him in a way that is relevant to his communication style. Not effective, anyway.
If you don't buy quarter zips at Costco, you're not relating with Tony. There's no way around it.
That's right. I'm old.
And Costco needs to start staying. This is irrelevant, but like Costco over here closes at like 8:30.
Everything does. It's like here's what we'll do. We'll close early because of COVID. Then you won't get it.
Costco's always like that. They do close early.
Anyways, all right. Well, all right. So what? Our next week we have who's our new guest?
Not new guest. He's one of the new hosts.
New host?
Will Jenkins, man, out of Molo.
So I love you, Molo.
He wasn't able to this week. By the time we got everything put together and whatnot, but he's got a lot of experience. He helped found that company. I talked to him on the phone the other night, man. His journey up is about the same as mine. Like just how you basically at the beginning had to do everything. You learned how to do everything because you had to. And then
Will's a cool dude, man.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And so that'll be great to have him on, bring him more of a brokerage president guy, super organized, help with Mike. Keep him on track. So I think it's gonna be a good thing. But I want everybody to send a message. Send a message
on time.
Send a message to the Hold My Beer page or whatever. We're gonna throw bets in. Everybody throw $5. And I think what color hoodie Mike's gonna wear next week. All right.
Can I bet? Wait, no, I can't bet.
You can't bet on that.
And whether or not it'll have sleeves, because as soon as it gets warm out there.
Oh, dude, I'm ready.
It.
You know what's funny is though, I always say is like because I am tattooed up and I'm always usually I don't care as much anymore. Yeah, I am. I mean, I got a sleeve. I used to care about it all the time, but I was always in a suit, so I'm always kind of like, eh. But now I'm just like, now I'm at a point where it's just like I don't care, but I just love hoodies, dude. I went on this hoodie kick the past like 6 months. I'm like, I literally my whole closet. I have closet like I probably have spent like $8,000 on hoodies in the past like. I should never admit that.
I'm the wrong guy to talk to about fashion, but I'm telling you, the quarter zip is the professional hoodie.
Oh, the quarter zip are where it's at. Like we have like a quarter zip club here at
That's right.
It's like, dude, stepping up the quarter zip game. Like some of the guys, like they'll get like a new roll and they'll go to quarter zip just because they're excited about it. Dude, TJ Maxx, man, hit it up.
I'll pull out one of the old custom suits for you boys. Hey, I'm like this completely different person when Will comes on. It's like, who are you?
Dude, it's funny though. That's why we liked Mike when we first met him, because like just like how excited he got about hoodies just there. Remember that, Tony? Like we were talking about something and he just like got so excited about whatever it was, and it was so fucking random. Excuse my name, God. What was it?
Man, it's probably anything, dude. But like, I had a manager that was like, "You got so much passion, you could cry over a water bottle." I said, "You damn right, damn right I can." I just love life,
the energy.
right?
I love the energy, man.
I just love life, man. Life's too, and not to get all hippie, but like seriously, it's like, dude, it takes way too much time and energy to hate on anything, right? So it's like, think about it. Just go love everything. And the
only thing that you can like hate, but like not hate is like just like an opposing like rival football team or something. I think that's like a good hate where like you're just like I hate those Packers, because I'm embarrassed.
So here's my thing.
It's the blue guys.
But like, yeah, right. I've just never understood how people get so crazy intense about sports, especially when they don't have money on it. I was just like, damn.
It's because they were probably good at them at one point. You'll get there.
I mean, dude, I'm an undercover great bowler.
Snowboarder, yeah.
I said bowler.
All right, guys. Hey, shout out to all the snowboarders out there, man.
Paul.
A lot of athletes it could have been. I think we're missing out on them. So, hey, let's bring it next week. We got Will on. It's going to be huge. We got a whole new thing going. We're going to have a whole new setup. I'm going live from Elkhart, Indiana. And it's going to be
Seattle.
He's going to be out in Seattle. It's going to be huge.
I'll be here in the shadow of the Golden Dome.
Go number 1. We wear number 2. It's fantastic. Everybody knows it. All right. Out.
Have a great week, guys.